Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we're always trying to write rules for a world that's constantly changing. But what if the answer was hiding in an ancient legal text? Well, today, we're diving into the Talmud to solve a surprisingly modern problem. And believe it or not, it all starts with a piece of meat.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question. It sounds simple, but the answers they get complicated. If something's legal status depends on its size, but that size can change, when do you actually measure it? Which version is the real one, legally speaking?
You know, the ancient rabbis saw this happen all the time in the kitchen. Tender calf meat, it swells up when you cook it. That tough, older cut of meat, it shrinks. But this isn't just some cooking observation. No, for ancient Jewish law, this simple physical change created a huge legal puzzle. And the stakes? They were incredibly high.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to break this whole thing down into 5 parts. We'll follow the sages step by step as they argue, challenge each other, and eventually reason their way to a pretty surprising solution.
Okay, so let's set the stage. First off, why on earth does the size of a piece of meat matter so much? Well, in ancient Jewish law, it all boils down to this concept of ritual impurity. So the law has this very specific cutoff point. For a piece of food to even be capable of becoming ritually impure or passing that impurity on, it has to be at least a certain size. The text calls it an egg bulk. So smaller than an egg? It's basically off the radar. But if it's the size of an egg or bigger, suddenly it's in the game. And this is the million-dollar question, the one that kicks off this whole incredible debate. If that meat starts out smaller than an egg, but then swells up after you cook it, does it count? Is that new, bigger size its true identity now? Or does its original, smaller size still define it? Let me tell you, the answer was anything but obvious.
All right, so like with any great legal showdown, you've got 2 opposing sides that form pretty quickly. We're just going to call them Team Rav and Team Shmuel, named after the leading sages on each side. The contenders are in the ring,
And their positions could not be more different. Team Rav, they're all about the here and now. They say, look at the meat as it is right now. Is it big enough? Then it counts. Simple. But Team Shmuel, they're looking at its history. They argue that the meat's original, uncooked size is what truly defines it. That's the one that matters, period.
Okay, this is where the debate really starts to heat up. Someone brings in another ancient teaching, an external source. And, at first glance, it looks like it's about to completely torpedo Team Shmuel's entire argument.
I mean, this text looks like a total slam dunk for Team Rav. It literally says that if meat was too small, then swelled up, its new size is what matters from now on. Seems pretty open and shut, right? Case closed? Well, not so fast. Team Shmuel has a pretty brilliant comeback. They say, hold on, that rule you're quoting, that's not from the original fundamental Torah law. That's a rabbinic law. They argue it's a later, practical rule the rabbis made just to deal with this kind of specific situation.
And you have to understand, this distinction is huge in Jewish law. It means the sages could make a practical rule for this one weird case, swelling meat, sort of like putting up a legal guardrail, without messing with the core, underlying principle from the Torah. It's a really clever way to dodge the bullet, basically.
So now, it feels like we're at a stalemate. But then, another sage named Rabbah steps into the ring. And he basically says, you guys are arguing about the wrong thing. He reveals that this whole debate, it's not really about meat. It's about a much deeper, more fundamental principle.
Rabbah just completely reframes the whole conversation. He says, forget about meat that starts small and gets big for a second. Let's talk about this. What if something starts out the right size, then it shrinks and becomes disqualified, and then it swells back to its original size? See, that specific chain of events, that's what gets to the real philosophical clash here.
And that is the real question, the one at the very heart of this entire thing. Is disqualification a one-way street? Once something loses its valid status, is it gone forever, or can it somehow get it back?
The sages actually have a word for this concept. It's called ditsui. It basically means pushed away, this idea of a permanent disqualification. And it turns out the entire argument between Team Rav and Team Shmuel really just boils down to this one question. Do you believe in ditsui or not?
So here it is, the main event. Team Shmuel is all in on ditsui. They say, once that food shrinks below the minimum size, that's it. It's permanently disqualified. Game over. It can never get its status back. But Team Rav says, nope. They reject the whole idea of ditsui as a universal rule. For them, an object's status follows its physical state. It can be lost, sure, but it can also be regained.
Okay, so who's right? To settle this, they need a knockout punch, a final, definitive proof text that can settle this whole debate about dice G once and for all. And then, they find one.
This final proof is a perfect test case. Just imagine this. You've got a piece of food. It's already ritually impure, and it's the right size, egg size, okay? Now you leave it out in the sun, and it just shrivels up, shrinking until it's smaller than an egg. At that exact moment, poof, it's technically pure again, because it doesn't meet the size requirement anymore. But then, a storm rolls in. It starts to rain, and that dried up piece of food soaks up all that water. And just like that calf meat we talked about at the very beginning, it swells right back to its original egg-sized glory.
So here it is, the moment of truth. What's its status now? If Team Schmal and their principle of de Chewy are right, it has to stay pure. It was disqualified, right? So it can't get that impurity back. But what does the actual source text say?
The text is crystal clear, no ambiguity. It rules that the food becomes impure again. The moment it swelled back to the right size, its old status came right back with it. And that is the knockout blow. It's a direct refutation of the entire principle of Ditchway. It proves that disqualification is not permanent. Status isn't a one-way street. And that means Team Rav's core principle was the right one all along. The debate is over. So you see how this works? What started as a kind of weird question about shrinking meat ends up uncovering this timeless, profound challenge. And it leaves us with a huge question for our own time. In the complex systems we build today, everything from our legal codes to the computer programs that run our lives, how do we write the rules for a world where, really, nothing ever stays the same?